Hello everybody, and welcome to the LJL Unofficial Mars One here with a dodgy camera sometimes happening. Alex, always go by Mars One on the internet. I am joined by this side, Infinite Dodge, for the first time ever. So we are together finally at last.
We have built the perfect duo. Nothing can
We
stop us.
have.
The casting will be masterful.
Oh. Temporal will be joining us momentarily. We had minor technical issues, ladies and gentlemen, so our true host of the desk will be here in a moment. I know I won't be hosting anymore. It's okay, ladies and gentlemen. Someone almost as prestigious as me with the LJL official will be back in a moment, but till then, Dodge, let's just quickly start talking about the game that we're going to be covering for first, because I think that's the spicy part that we can really start getting into the meat and potatoes of.
That's an
DFM
understatement.
7-0. First round robin, perfect, and they didn't really look to push. Yes, some teams got an early game, like, kind of equality about them, but then it hit the mid game and there was just no equality anymore. DFM was focused on.
Yeah,
Hello.
Rascal Jester definitely gave them the work as our lovely friend Temporal is hopping onto the desk to resume his hosting duties. How are you today, my friend?
I'm alright. It's nice when the water works in your house.
I wouldn't know, mate. I wouldn't know. My boiler's broken at the moment.
Neither
Oh,
died
no.
2 minutes ago. It's so great. I love
Oh,
renting. Anyway, it's DFM time. It's second round robin. We get to see the repeat, hopefully here for our top team. And I'm excited to see it. I think that's what you'll have said so far. So, gentlemen, what else are you excited about today?
I mean,
Ah,
V3 Esports, can they actually pick up a win? My guess, if I had to put odds on it,
Oof.
25-1. It's a far-reaching one, but I mean, hey, if you put a fiver on it, that's $120.
You're a lot more generous than I am, I think.
does that math check out?
It's like $120, but like, yeah,
I don't know. In any case, it's rough. It's real
it's
rough here
real.
for V3.
The
I don't
point
expect
is,
it to get better this morning. But in any case, hey, they're gonna be here. They're gonna give us their best. We get to see another maybe pop-off game from Dress Code.
that'd be
Dodge,
nice.
anything else you're excited about this morning? You can just say seeing Yaharong extend his KDA further into the stratosphere. That's a valid answer.
It would be nice not only to see him extend his KDA, but maybe his champion pool too. Pull out something as fun as the Renekton or the Vigar, which we've seen him on a few
Hmm.
times. I also get to cast Sengoku today, which is going to be great. Haven't gotten a chance to do
Mm.
that yet. My favorite team in the LJL. I'll do my best to
No,
be non-biased as a caster should, but
no,
can't deny I'm a little bit excited. They look real good so far.
I'm completely biased. Love me some Sengoku. They're gonna face off against Rascal Jesters in our second game of the day. And yeah, all to look forwards to at the moment. Some slight technical
I
difficulties.
mean,
I
I've got
can't.
I've got to talk about obviously a
Oh,
very
go.
big important matchup that we've got, which is the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming facing off against Crest Gaming Act. I mean, that is honestly a big match because CGA have kind of solidified themselves. That was slightly above Axis, only slightly, but they are above Axis, right? They're fifth place. If
Mm,
Hawks can pick up another win, they can still make playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. Top two are basically out of the question for them. They can't make top two now. It's very difficult, and bad things need to happen to probably Sengoku and also DFM realistically for that to happen and for them to have a chance. Burning Core as well. Hawks just want to make playoffs.
I
They can
think
pick up a win here. This is one of the more important ones along this way, I feel.
I think bad things have to happen to the universe, forcing
Don't want
SoftBank
them either.
to actually get this all
Oh,
together.
it'd be what Dodger's currently got in the background. That would be what DFM and Sengoku might have
I was
experienced.
about to say, which portal have you gone through, Dodge? We're
I
on
am on
some
the
sort of
plains
nether
of
realm.
oblivion, of course.
Of course.
Nice.
Shout outs to the Elder Scrolls 4, the best Elder Scrolls game. But yeah, it's a rough one for the Hawks. We expected a little bit better when we saw them, the way they were assembled. And maybe today will be the first step in living up to more of what our expectations were when we saw what that roster was going to be.
I just want to see a better game than what that V3 one was, because, oh boy.
Oh boy, that was what was it, Swan? 47 minutes, 46.
I don't want to talk about it, man.
Pure pain.
Riding Core Sengoku vibes from last year. That's what it
Oh
felt like.
yes, it felt like it, didn't it? They do face off against a recently empowered Press Gaming Act.
Yeah, they
You are
do.
on the up and up, are looking creative, and me and Echo took the cast last week. Last week? I suppose it's technically last week. Is this day one? It is day one, even though it's a Sunday. Things are
This
no,
is
odd.
day
No,
3.
this is
the
day
end.
3. I know what
Oh,
I know what numbers are. In any case, in the last round robin, right at the end, the CGA side looked even better. They continue to take these creative wins, creative solutions, and actually adapt to their game. And if we continue to see that grow, guys, anything you want to see, especially from them today? We've seen the rest of the meta around the world start to slowly advance. Swan, we'll go to you first. Anything special we want to see today?
anything special? I mean, assuming we are on the new patch, I'm expected to just see Zeri new builds. Honestly, like it'd just be nice to be like, ah, yes, the new champion. That is an AD carry that builds bruiser items.
Totally an
Yes,
AD carry.
definitely an AD carry, not a Quinn that is like hiding behind a facade of just, I'm not bird person, I'm actually just broken. Like, be nice.
Oh.
Also, enchanters might not be as good top lane, kinda, sort of, technically. Yeah, but Kumo in Challengers Queue and LCS is still popping off with it, so I don't think that's quite destroyed yet. And also, Axis, we still know Yellow Yoshi with that poppy top is still going to be terrifying because he's done it against a very good top laner already.
We've been to the Bard and a few other things. Maybe not so much of that, but the Poppy especially. Really good from Yellow Yoshi. Dodge. I don't know if you've done much prep on 12.4. Anything, any sort of feelings? They don't even have to be sort of grounded in reality about where we're going to
Play
go
by
on this
play.
patch.
Well, I will say that the Zeri build has unfortunately not changed at all on 12.4. Even when they tried to shift her away, her highest win rate, her most optimal build, still moving towards that Runon's Hurricane, the only crit item, along with the Trinity Force and the whatnots. But, you know, Swan really covered what I had been looking at as the big differences in 12.4, namely, you know, we've seen a lot more of this Might Top in LJL than we have in other major regions.
It's true.
And it should be a little bit weaker, maybe, kind of, we'll see. And of course, the big thing just sort of being that Zeri, you know, mini rework. You know, only I think 10. No, I guess it's 20. Oh, my math has completely gone bonkers on me. We've
It's
had
hard.
a certain amount of games on 12.4 because LCS and LEC are the only regions playing on
Yes.
12.4 so far, and things haven't looked that much different. The priority is still Jinx, the priority is still Zeri. It's hyperscaling 80 carries, so unfortunately not looking to be too much of a shakeup so far.
You mentioned those AD carries. Maybe we won't have Caitlyn picked or banned every single game. It's only, I
That's,
think, gone through 2-3
yeah.
games in the LGL. Like, Caitlyn banned like 90% of the time.
But the
Yeah.
presence of Jinx has just been so immense, right? So I feel sometimes when we have seen Caitlyn actually get through the draft, she still wasn't picked, which was the crazy thing. Like, she's got a wicked high presence, but then a few times she just wasn't picked or banned, and it's just like, oh, they went Aphelios Jinx.
It's like,
Yeah,
we
I can see
played
this.
chicken, and now we don't want to play anymore.
Yeah. Why bother?
We're still waiting for the official games to get started. As far as I can tell, can't see the main ALJL getting ready. So, gentlemen, we're going to go to predictions. We're going to go back to the most shameless
Favorite part.
of pre-game speculation, your feelings, ideals, favorite colors. Today, we have DFM versus V3. That's not particularly interesting. But after that, Sengoku, Rascal Jester,
Yeah,
Hawk
actually, moving
CBA,
on.
Core, Axis, your 3 predictions for the games that will actually have an outcome today.
Swan, you
Sorry,
want to kick
V3.
this one off, writing the eulogy for V3? I don't know if I have it in me.
Yeah,
Feel free to
so
eulogize.
this is not the V3 I grew up with. This is not the V3 that kind of destroyed the region and everything. This is just DFM. Like, I mean, maybe V3 can at least have the same kind of early game they had against the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, right? They have a decent 8 minutes, maybe 10. I'll give them 10 minutes, and then I think it might just fall apart. You're giving him 3, Reed. All right, our producer's giving him 3. It's actually doomed. Maybe Reed's right. He has got a
2
better
waves.
prediction so far, I think. So
2 waves. We'll monitor that. We're going to write these predictions down, see what V3 managed to hold on for. Props to them if it's
more
longer than the 8
realistically, though,
minutes.
I'll give a very quick prediction out there. Sengoku Gaming, I feel like just kind of playing a better game of League of Legends across the map at the moment and having that Jet and Honey insurance. It feels like Honey just kind of went from Axis to an improvement.
We're eulogizing over V3, but I'm afraid the music has begun. Gentlemen, take us away for our first pick and ban.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Temporal. We are here. We are ready to get into the action for the
It's match
draft.
12.3!
Oh no, Swan! We're stuck in the past.
Caitlyn hasn't been banned! Neither is Gwen! Oh, what's happening?
You see what is banned though, Swan? It's that Zeri. That's not going through on 12-3, I'll tell you what. The Vigar also, interestingly enough, I wonder if that's some scrim data. The Galio, a little bit more the UGO special through his academy days, had probably the best performance in that mid lane for V3 so far this year on that Galio. The Vigar, a little bit more of a curveball, but it's all mid lane bans coming out from DFM.
Yeah, 3 mid lane bans, and also 2 flex mid lane bans. Well, arguably 3 with Zeri as well, like from V3, obviously multiple champions that can play different roles. That kind of shows just the versatility of DFM, because we know Ebby and Yaharon can play both Akali. We know Tryndamere is both to flex between them. And Zeri, I have to imagine Yaharon and Utapon. So like that's technically like 3 Yaharon bans, but it's also like 2 Ebby bans and like a Utapon ban. So it's a pretty awkward spot. First picking the Rise though, that is just like wrong in almost every case, in a lot of senses, but it's Yaharong and DFM. Like, at this moment in time, I feel like DFM can just throw down the gauntlet and be like, what do you want to do, V3? If we play a composition where we get our mid laner to flow around the map effectively, how can you respond? And DFM almost always have the first edge, so V3 Esports, they respond with that Aphelios Gwen, looking to try and just pick the really strong stuff. Not picking, well, actually, I imagine they'll pick a support here, with that Thresh still being around, but if they don't, this is the time for DFM to pick it.
Yeah, that Thresh does scale, or rather does pair oh so well with those scaling hyper
And
carries.
Jinx, like Jinx is still open, yeah.
So, but now it's the Jhin hover. That's an interesting one. Is DFM just throwing out the whole rulebook here with the Rise early pick, and now the Jhin taken for them in that bot lane with the Jinx still ready and available? Do you see this as just them trying to sort of diversify, test themselves, knowing that this should be a free W? Or is this maybe a little bit more of a head scratcher coming out from the boys over at Detonation FocusMe?
I mean, it's not a complete one. I was expecting something like a Caitlyn Lux or like a Caitlyn Morgana sort of comp. I mean, it's less good when you are actually obviously against the Gwen, because Gwen is immune, so it can make that a little bit more awkward. But if she's in split pushing action, it doesn't matter. Interestingly enough, they just slam their jungler in with the J4. And obviously, I mean, Steel's most popular champion at the moment, which has almost always been first rotated picked, has been that Poppy. And it's still available, but will V3 decide to ban it? I have a sneaking suspicion they will. Also, V3 didn't lock in that support, so I imagine for DFM, they're just thinking Thresh, because it pairs with all of these champions, and then just decide the direction they want to go. They go for that Xin Zhao ban. V3, Poppy's the key.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Steel sort of relegated to hammer duty multiple
Relegated,
times.
sir? I would say promoted.
I suppose that is one way of looking at it in terms of results. I think in terms of exhilarating gameplay, Steel probably getting a little bit tired of playing Poppy. Not exactly the most exciting champion, but has made it look very, very good so far in the 5 games he has gotten on it to, help DFM along in their 7-0 undefeated record. Nautilus is the next takeaway. I can't believe nobody's touched Thresh yet here, Swan. It seems like such the logical choices. It wouldn't be the LJL if we didn't take the Renekton off the board here as well. It's gonna get picked, it's gonna get banned, it's gonna show up at some point.
Yeah, the Renekton, obviously Gnar is also still available, and so Ebby still can take it, so I mean, oh god, if he gets it, this isn't looking like an awful, like, Gnar comp, especially when you've got a Caitlyn. I'm always a fan of Caitlyn, of Karma plus Gnar, just because of having that extra speed boost, just that extra mobility, especially when you got a Rise as well with the Realm Warp. You can do some pretty dirty, weird flanks with the 2 of them. You can also just send the Gnar off with the flank. You don't have to always go with it. It wasn't taken away, and I mean, this is something we called out from the first rotation. The Thresh is just locked in as the LeBlanc is locked for, is banned away for DFM.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes so much sense, right? Alongside that, Aphelios offers him the safety in lane, offers that conditional engage capability as well. If you're feeling real Mad Life-like with your hooks, and now it's up to DFM to round things out. They're going to have to put one blind pick on the board. Is big surprise! The Poppy is getting hovered. It's getting considered. I know people say the Jarvan isn't as bothered as other dashing champions by the Poppy, because even if the EQ is blocked, you can just use that unstoppable Cataclysm, but it will be Utapon locking that in for steal, and I can't blame DFM for picking that one up, because it's been nothing but aces for them so far.
It really has been, and now it gives them the option to go, okay, well, we're getting counter-picked in. Ebby, what do you want? There's a lot of options here. Jace is actually kind of more of a new one. We haven't been seeing Ebby really play many, if ever, really much duelists over in the top side. The fact that he keeps coming out with them is really exciting, and he knows this is into a Gwen, so Gwen can only go immune so many times against, obviously, Hammer in ranged form. So I like the option. I like the angle. Yu-Gi-Oh, though, is hovering, picking a lot of different champions. I'm not a fan of that Azir. We've seen Azir actually, remember when I believe Kaito picked it, but okay. Cassiopeia facing off against Ryze. V3 Esports. I don't hate it.
It's a throwback. We've seen this matchup before. There, some particulars have changed, but this used to be, if I'm, correct in this assessment, a little bit Cassio favored, and I think it makes a lot of sense into the Poppy Swan.
No, absolutely, and I feel like it's got a lot of interesting options. The issue is, Yu-Gi-Oh is a very proficient player. I mean, he's drawn technically 4 bans out of DFM, hasn't he? But I also wonder, is this just DFM making their life as easy as possible, and they've noticed that maybe Yu-Gi-Oh is just causing the most amount of issues in, like, scrims and the like, so they just kind of go, what's the option? I want my face, Reed! Thank you, Reed. I like my face. I'm so vain. Seeing the Japanese casters makes me angry. I'm like, no, me, and dodge! But, because I want DFM and V3 on my screen. And if it's not them, it's not worth it, dodge without you.
Oh, why thank you, you. Those Japanese casters are handsome lads
They
as well.
They are.
But, personally, I am a
Woo-woo.
big fan of our faces. I think we're quite handsome lads.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Here.
She's a model, yes.
But what's maybe a little bit even more handsome than our faces are some of these draft adaptations we saw come out going into our first game of the day. The Cassio in particular, I'm a big fan of. I one-tricked Cassio top lane for a great portion of last season to some pretty decent success. And
But you're an abuser.
Yeah, that guy who makes like the off-meta videos? It's like, you won't believe this Cassio top takes Ignite Barrier every game. No,
that's just all of mid-beast videos.
Well, that was the specific strategy I took, because right on into game action, we see a big 5-man stack here around the enemy jungle.
They were seen on that ward that's just below the blue side, so like it's really awkward for DFM here because they're known. They're exactly known. And if you look over on the side of V3 Esports, they got a deep ward with Jarvan running over there. He's now recalling he's going to be switching over those wards to the sweeping trinket. And DFM are just kind of like, well, guess we don't get anything. But that's perfectly fine for DFM. Like, they just got the information. The player who has agency on them in this match is Unica, right? He is on that Jarvan. Jarvan has expectations that at 2, at 3, at 4, at 5, you are meant to be all over the map, especially once you hit 6 as well. You need to be just snowballing your lanes. Because if you get outscaled, which a Poppy very much will do by an item and a half, you're in big trouble. You are just going to be in trouble because Poppy doesn't care about your damage anymore, and now the rest of your team, even if you Cataclysm, if she's inside that Cataclysm, she'll knock you into your wall. And you're having issues. Steel's stealing away the jungle. I imagine it's just going to be 2-side trades, so it's going to be all about Eddie playing this weak side effectively and seeing if Steel is able to hover and kind of play protect. I have to imagine Unica is going to be going straight over. He is straight over flag and drag, and that's going to be the sides. We've got the split map set up, Dodge.
Yeah, that was a little bit of slick technology coming out from the Jarvan the Fourth. Shout outs to Pabu, who has seen a J4 do that path and decided that he would do the same thing on Trundle by just flashing that Baron pit wall at level 2, which is a great adaptation. But yes, he will get over and sort of perhaps force a bit of a vertical jungling scenario, as now Harp and Utapon hitting that level 2 first, just putting that pressure down, securing the push for themselves.
Without the
AI
nameplate. Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
I mean, Blitzkun has made his decision. I'm not sure if I agree with the all-powerful, all-intelligent AI. Maybe there's some things he knows we don't, but now it's Steel hovering around for quite a long time, trying to force this dive, but the wave is stacking up. It's coming in. Here he comes through that tri-brush dress code with the red gun, getting down, the press the attack proc, now the hook. This could be a bit of a disaster. Is Yu-Gi-Oh committing the TP? I mean, DFM thinking better of it and escorting themselves out, and maybe he'll take that, forcing the early TP there.
Absolutely, you'll take that. That is a fantastic opportunity, because now if you look at it, Unica actually has to kind of manage this wave and kind of help prevent it getting fully pushed in. If this is causing issues, and look at this, Steel's here as well!
Yeah, Steel right on top, forcing the flash over the wall, a little bit slick, but Yaharong just follows it up and beats him down. Yu-Gi-Oh now is in the midst of it all, but not going to suffer too much for it, just going to walk his way away. But Steel going to pick up that crab, and it's the first blood. Going over to Detonation FocusMe, not completely unexpected here.
Oh, and I should have listened to our producer, Dodge. He said 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes 30 when all of it went collapse.
Oh,
well, actually, it was about 3 minutes on the dot when Steel went for that dive. It didn't work out, but what it did lead out is to summoners. Oh my god!
Yeah, dress code. He is just going to be picked off and picked away. And that is not the most auspicious start in the bot lane. We were hoping for maybe a pop-off from dress code as one potential win angle for V3 in this game, but not doing so hot on that front so far, as it's nearly a 1.5k gold lead already at 4 minutes for the side of DFM. It's looking tragic thus far.
It absolutely is, and when you think about it, they got the teleport out of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? At the end of the day, from a DFM perspective, yes, it's unfortunate we had to blow our flash, but Steel has Hexa Flash, so it's kind of par for the course at some point. You want to try and use it early on for an aggressive action. They used the flash, almost looked good, didn't work, had to get out. They successfully got out, right? DFM technically got a summoner up. Fantastic, thumbs up, right? We traded flash, we traded Steel. Oh god, though.
Oh, Washidai is not going to live. He will be picked up by Steel. It's movement all over the map. It's all 3 lanes of action for DFM, as V3 crumbling before they've even really begun to have a chance in this game. Gonna have to slow things down here real quick and try and find some sort of angle back. But now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Harp going to find anything? No, just a little bit of poke, as Hadel is here to back it up. But Yaharong flashing that thumbs up. He is real happy with how things are progressing.
God, and this just feels like it's going from bad to worse. Hatel is being pulled around now by Harp, but Hatel really needs to try and stay with dress code, so in case there is a random poppy, just peculiar pathing. And that is something that Steel has always been a master at doing, remember. Making it so it's incredibly difficult for the enemy jungler to path and effectively know where you're at. And if you actually look at CS so far, just from a jungler perspective, Steel has done so much around the map, has almost identical CS, and has just assisted his team so much already.
Yeah, that he has. Now Hadel is trying to be the one to find some assist, as he did get the nice hook, but I don't think they have the follow-up potential. Dress code is just going to fall down before Unica can even arrive. Now Hadel getting assaulted by that Jin. Utapon chasing them down the flag to drag the flash over the wall with the cone. That's 2 members getting away, but it's still your ADC dying, and you know, at a certain point, it's hard to laud superlatives on DFM when it's just such domination, but now maybe Washidai finding the angle on the heavy, but he just uses that hammer to knock him away. That needlework not going to find any needling, and yeah, it's just a continuous deluge of plays going in the favor of DFM.
Yeah, and I love the build path that Ebby is also going. Got a small advantage, right? Got that assist gold, went straight for the Vampiric Scepter. Knew that Washidai is going to be pushing in on him, and there's going to be a chance there's going to be a lot of poke, and it's going to be a lot of abuse, but he'll figure out a way around it. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yaharong just do some standard trading. But look at this, Ebby, because of that assist that he got, and because of the push in, and Steel being there at the right time, and Yeah, Washide going a bit lower than he probably should and not paying full respects to the side because DFM Steel's been everywhere. He's been more bot side though. Doesn't matter. It's worked out flawlessly for DFM as we come into this replay to really understand how did this go so bad for V3 Esports. It's actually because they notice Harp and it's like, well, it's a pretty common place where Harp will go and ward on his own, but we come in straight to a replay again.
Yeah, right out of the replay, it's more suffering for V3 as Hadel is just going to fall. The curtains have been called, his death has been secured, and now it's dress code pinned under the turret by Steel. That's another one going over to Yaharong, and DFM, you know, Mask, before the game, when I was doing my prep, doing my VOD review, I thought to myself, well, V3, they haven't looked horrible in the early game. They've secured some early dragons. Unica's been able to influence the side lanes, get some early kills off the early ganks. Maybe they can at least, you know, be happy with themselves if they can test well in the early game. But that's the one sort of thing I gave them in favor of DFM, and they have just looked completely outmatched and outclassed at every turn. So you shudder to think where this game is going to continue to go from here, as the gold lead's 4K already at 8 minutes.
Think about this for a lot of the other teams. A lot of the other teams have not struggled, but they found it difficult to capitalize on V3 in the early game, right? That first 8 minutes, which we just crossed. DFM have 4K gold, 6 kills, and yeah, they haven't got any neutral objectives over them except for a bunch of turret plates in bot lane, 3 turret plates already on Utapon, and no Rift Herald has been taken. This is catastrophe already. In certain solo queue games, you would already look at this and go, this is kind of like, this is already FF go next. Yeah, in Champions Call, this would be a legitimate spot where you look at it and go, guys, I don't think we can come back from this. Like, realistically, we need a miracle. And the difficult thing for the side of V3 Esports is it's not funneled into one person, right? Normally in these scenarios, you can be like, well, at least all our gold's just into our Jhin, right? Or into our Jace or something. It's not, it's so evenly distributed. Yes, Steel has a lot of that gold as well, but hey, that just means Unica does actual sweet FFA to him. But Unica, though.
Yeah, look at this bait. Maybe Washidai using that needlework, trying to find
the
it
was a bait!
But yeah, it was the counter bait on top of the bait, and it's even members. It looked for a minute like V3 continued to want to force that, but thinking better of it, as now Hadel is going to land a hook into the Moonlight Vigil. Utapon ticking so low with that ignite, but the cleanse was good to find the turnaround, find the snare, and now the curtains have been called. Dress code going to have to block for his support, perhaps, here. Don't want to land that fourth shot, as Karma getting so much poke down the flash under the turret with the ignite. Harp is doing it in the bot lane. He picks one up, and that is the 7th kill already for Detonation FocusMe. But Unica maybe having something to say about it, running his way down, but Harp has the play red, has the pink in the river, and now Steel is going to come and maybe tussle a little bit. Hadel is still around, and Steel just going to back off, knows there's no reason to overforce when you're so far ahead.
Absolutely, but yeah, that was awful for dress code. I love the idea, and he only took that final shot. But it's the final shot, remember, from Jhin, which always crits. So huge damage coming out suddenly from Utapon with a burst combo from Harp with that dubstep ignite coming out with a flash ignite. God, you gotta love this bot lane duo. You get vibes, you get vibes and bits of flair from DFM. I was worried when we lost Gang, when we lost Ardia, when we lost Sidos, but it just seems like DFM know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, as that's that W coming through from Steel to make the life of Unica just completely miserable there. I mean, these kills are coming forward left and right for DFM, and it's so hard, right? Because normally a bottom team, you can expect them to make some fireworks, even if their coordination is good. Maybe they have that team fighting capability, but consistently we've seen V3's weakness has been in the mid-game team fights, has been around, you know, these objectives. So there's really, it feels like so little room for them to make a comeback angle as Steel and Yaharong just gonna move over to the Ocean Drake and take that one with all of the map control they've secured for themselves. A little bit late is that first Drake, given how much they've been running this map, but I think they know they don't need to rely on the Drake stacking this game.
No, because Utapon's about to finish the first turret in 11 minutes 30 without having a single Rift Herald sent their way. They've just brute force done it with all those dives. Dress code is having a pretty unfortunate game for them with those 4 deaths already, but DFM pedal to the metal, 6k gold lead. at 11 minutes. This might be our largest gold difference at 11 minutes. Pre-14 especially. Like, this is unreasonable. And this is just two caliber of teams just playing against each other that aren't the same. I'm sorry, that's just what it is at this moment in time. I mean, at least V3 will have a lot of data and video to watch of where things went so wrong for them in this game, right? And from our perspective, this is definitely going to be one of those games, Dodge, that we just watch for the hype reel moments for DFM. When DFM make playoffs and everything, this is definitely one of those matches for hype videos.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh feeling a bit desperate, trying to get that miasma, trying to get the Everfrost root up, but Evie just too clean, too good around that bot lane turret. Didn't even take any meaningful damage. And yeah, it's as you say, Swan. It's really hard to watch at certain points when it's two calibers of team that are so monumentally apart. But maybe Unica is trying to answer back somehow as Washidai comes over the wall. Look, it's Dress Code and Halo who are here first. They will find one back. Steel being forced to flash defensively, but Yaharong in the back end going to answer back. Steel now is also fallen, but that is the 2-4-1 for V3. So some signs of life, a little bit of a spark there. You love to see it.
Absolutely, and like that's part of the issue with Poppy. She's a tank. She doesn't really do damage. Also, Steel definitely had a lot of resting gold as he didn't have his mythic. He's just gone and got that Chemtank, or Chemtank rather. And part of the issue here is that we just have a bit of discoordination. Harp gets caught out, doesn't have flash, so he's kind of in no man's land. Obviously, Steel comes in to try and protect him, but again, we're in an awkward spot. And the issue is Yaharong decides to go for the Jarvan, doesn't decide to back up his jungler. I don't think it's incorrect, that play. They guaranteed a kill, but would it maybe be more beneficial, or maybe V3 might have backed off? You can't fully know unless you run that exact scenario 3 or 4 times over and over again. It's very difficult to set that up over and over again. As it currently stands, though, DFM still actually came out on top because they got that turret in the top side. So at the end of the day, it's still DFM favored, which feels really bad for the side of V3. We haven't also got that comeback gold mechanic yet, so I mean, it just feels bad, man, if you are 16k.
Yeah, that's 1,600 gold going into the pockets of DFM, and big fat goose egg coming through from V3 in terms of the turret plates. I mean, they could get perfect game. They didn't even touch a plate. I mean, that's an extreme level as Steel just going to take that Hex Flash over the wall, discourage Halo from walking up the deep flank TP from V3. This is maybe their last chance saloon play, looking for something. It's the double TP even coming through, but DFM backing off just right, reading it so well, not going to really expose themselves to any danger. Finally, Yu-Gi-Oh comes around from the back, Steel peeling for his carry as Evie already picks up the first. Washidai has got immune. He has the needlework. I don't know if that'll be enough to do much of anything, however, as that's V3 just forced back under that tier 1. The poke is so extreme coming out from Evie on that Jace, and this could open up the second Herald angle for them. Plenty of time to pick that one up before the Baron Nashor does spawn, and if lose is improved, Swan, hopefully V3 will improve quite a bit after this game.
You learn more from your losses than you do for your wins. It's true for anyone that plays esports, anyone that plays video games competitively, or just any sports competitively. But V3, you play there. There was an idea. I like the idea. The double TP comes out. We even see Washidai actually popping that flash, on the ghost on the Gwen. But the issue is there's so much poke that just comes down immediately. I love this ultimate because it just dissuades V3 so much. He lands all 3 of those shots, holds it for a bit, and then Unico just takes like a half of his health bar just as he comes in for that Cataclysm. He doesn't get to do anything, and then the rest of the team just isn't there. And now it's an unfair fight, so why would they take that fight anymore? So much was used from the side of V3 for absolutely nothing at the end of the day, which is really unfortunate for them. DFM are coming out on top with kills, with that Rift Herald, and I mean, they're going to take this dragon in a moment. V3, just what can you do? You're almost 7k, almost looking at 8k gold down at 60 minutes in. Like, Dire is not even describing the situation now.
Yeah, it's not quite a G2 versus Misfits, but it is getting up there in terms of that gold amount in the back pocket of DFM, and now it'll be
one of these teams won't throw. One of these teams won't throw that lead. I'll be honest, mate. If the other side had it, I would give it. Like, DFM can problem solve their way out of almost anything. They've got the precedence for that. Not this version of D3 though. Not yet.
Unica is just completely getting bullied. We've seen already the entirety of DFM moving up into this jungle and just choking him out of any gold income that's left to him, bullied off of his gromp. That'll be another tier 1 turret to fall, so that's the last of them. It's the entire front line of defense gone. It's all the forward vision for DFM. Things are just, progressing in a very detonation-favored way. There's no other, angle to look at it from.
No.
I tried to find a sugarcoat. I tried to find the comeback angle that could be, possible for V3, but so far they haven't shown us too much of that.
But Dodge, what was important to note is you remember just before we saw Yaharon going topside, we saw Steel walking into their jungle, pressuring and forcing out Unica out of any of that gold, like you were saying, right? Do you remember who he had with him, shadowing him that whole time? It was Harp. Harp was watching. They are literally buddy systeming this. The DFM have so much momentum in their favor at this moment in time that they are just buddy systeming around. They're not leaving any options or any opportunities now. They left one opportunity, felt a bit bad about it, so now they're just like, no, we'll just buddy. We don't even need to. Washi Day is so much further behind against the Jace now, so there's just so much power. And remember, this is meant to be far more poke Jace. He's going lethality at this moment in time. Like, this is the one that kind of you play against in ARAMs, and if you get smacked by one of those shockwaves, you're just like, yeah, no, let's go next. Nah, that's 500 damage, and I'm a very, oh my god, dress code.
Dress code. That's tragic. I mean, he never had a chance to begin with. DFM just playing with so much license to style. We saw Evie walk right up under the turret. Now he's doing it again just to prove that he can. He gets lots of damage down with that Eclipse. The shielding going to protect him from a lot of that counter poke coming back from that tier 2. And now that second Herald being used to definitely secure that big gold pinata that I love to call those tier 2 turrets, worth so much gold as things continuing to explode here. 10k is the advantage for DFM, and the rest of these tier 2s not too long for this world either, you have to feel at this point. Harp sticking around. Yaharong, just as you mentioned, doing that shadow system, doing that buddy system, given the advanced scouting, given the protection, given the peel. It's so hard to pick this team comp apart when they have so much map control.
It really is, and half of the issue is just the amount of just raw stats that DFM has with just all this gold that they've got with them at this moment in time. Like, the way that they can come back into this game is really difficult, and I would argue it makes it even more difficult because I would say Yu-Gi-Oh is still an item off. He still needs to get his, what's it called? His Shadow Flame, right? Like, Shadow Flame Cassiopeia is how this champion really turns on. He's not there yet. Like, he still needs another, like, 5-7 minutes, realistically, for that. I don't know if you're going to get that. DFM might be able to end the game before we get there. And if they don't, they're going to have Infernal Soul. So it really doesn't matter either way. And we're already seeing that you don't have an AD carry. Your Gwen's already in a difficult spot versus a Jace, which just shouldn't be the case. But that part of the issue for that, oh my god, Steel, your fancy footwork's a bit absurd right now, mate. Like,
he's too good. That Winged Moonplate giving him all he needs there to really right-click with gusto.
I mean, how do you feel as like a rookie player? Like, all of these players, remember, to some level are a rookie here, but like, what can you do if you're Yu-Gi-Oh?
Absolutely nothing. As the curtain call comes out, the Moonlight Vigil was in return. They actually do find one. Now it's 2 back, but the Realm Warp all the way behind. Yaharong now has something to say about this. Maybe he's a bit angry, but press the attack proc the chunk out, forcing him back. Unica quite low. Evie and Yaharong going to find him. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. He sidesteps one, but he can't sidestep that as Evie just bursts him like a balloon. That's the 14th kill for DetonatioN FocusMe. Still no deaths for Yaharong, going all the way back to day 1 of the split. And I would like to posit at this point, Swan, the alternate win condition for V3. Don't worry about winning the game.
Yeah.
Just try and pop Yaharong. Just get that notch on your belt, right? Just say, hey, we killed him. That's an accomplishment.
I mean, it's an angle. I mean, this is just a beautiful curtain call, and the amount that they put so much into killing Harp that it kind of meant that it didn't really surmount to a lot. Yes, they also did get steal. Absolutely, that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, you can't really have Yu-Gi-Oh dying. You need them to hang around for the whole team fight. It was also DFM favored at the end of that. Remember, they did get to the kill at the end. So it's just what, and like this happens, man.
Yeah, when you have that Shirelia's Reverie, you just can find anybody, speed up the whole team, cut them off, cut them down. Yaharong continuing to roll here on the rise. He's going for that tank rise build. That's really all we see these days, but still so potent when you're this far ahead. Still has so much damage off the mana scaling, and it's just going from bad to worse to whatever the level beyond worse is. I guess the plains of oblivion, as we were saying in our pregame here for V3. There's just no answers. It's soul point for DFM. They're hovering around this Baron, clearing out this vision, and they can collect this one at their leisure.
I mean, at their leisure, I mean, if they even need it, like, at this point in time, they just seem to be just kind of going around the map going, all right, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do that. V3, you can't do anything. Very good. Unica, though.
Yeah, rooted up and then knocked away into the wall. Steel finding the stun onto Unica. Does get the flag and drag, but the curtain call is always there, always available to find the kill. And look at that, Evie sniping out Hadel on the back end of it. Now they'll start to break the base.
Yeah, did they need the Baron? They looked at it and then went, oh, we can get just 2 kills. We can just pick people off. We'll get this inhibitor. Then we'll look at the Baron. Then we'll realm warp for it.
That's so swag. Just look at Yaharong, just the way, I mean, it's so crisp from all of DFM. It's really, you know, a treat to see. They've been so miles ahead of anything V3 has tried to answer with this game. Crack the base, cool as could be. Cool guys don't look at explosions. Turn around, pick up the big purple worm, get your purple tuxes on, get back to base and spend your gold.
And they've only had like one kind of hiccup moment, really, from the side of DFM. They had that hiccup moment where they gave those 2 kills off when it was like 8-0, and then they accidentally gave 2 kills over, which ended up still being slightly favored for DFM at the end of the day, but that's their one minor hiccup moment. When you're V3 Esports, when the minor hiccup moment from DFM is the only pointer where I can really go to it and go, this was bad by DFM. They should not have made that mistake. Everything else has been practically flawless, even though flawless isn't in this game, which is the scariest thing. But like, Steel is doing a fantastic impression. If anything, maybe flawless is maybe getting inspired by Steel at this point in time, because the fact is, this is a Poppy jungle having this much domination over a J4. That shouldn't happen. There's a lot of questions that V3 will have to look back at this game and go, what went wrong? Because like, you can just learn so much more, but I think at some points, like 10 minutes ago, when we were like, I feel like this game's over, yeah, we've just kind of been going through the motions at this moment in time, and DFM just haven't been giving V3 Esports many moments to really come back, and that's the difficult part if you are V3 Esports. Where's the comeback? And I don't even know.
Maybe you can get some sort of 200 years pop-off with Washidai and the Aphelios, but now Unica trying to find that last-ditch engage. It will be the hook onto Steel, rolling him back, but the Moonlight Vigil doesn't connect the deep TP. Yaharong knows he can take it. He knows he can stand in the midst of all those members on this tank rise and not suffer none for it. He walks away so calculated, just a little bit of help, and now Harp so low. They find him again. He continues to be the one member of DFM who suffers in these engagements. Maybe they finally have overstepped their bounds. So many low health bars, but no method to collect on it as V3 repels the siege, but it is still just the 1-for-1. They don't necessarily win the fight.
Yeah, and it's onto the Harp again, so it's not a valuable target. It's a target that has nothing, right? Like, okay, you got rid of Harp's Baron buff, but like, it doesn't really amount to a lot. Still playing fantastic frontline for most of the members of V3 Esports. The issue is, Steel's doing this, and Yaharong TP's over. It's at a point in time where Yaharong had the decision of he could either keep pushing bot side, or he can come in and try and assist the team. He doesn't have a great opportunity to do that. He kind of puts the team in a more awkward spot, and I actually would have loved it if he could have TP'd to a ward slightly further back to come in and try and find a flank option. Coming in and kind of just looking V3 in the eyes. I mean, DFM, you are that far ahead. You could have done that. I just feel like you need slightly better coordination. And these are small things where I'm like, yeah, this is why this isn't the DFM of last year. This is not 2021 DFM. We are still working towards that version. But the amount of like flair and just kind of creativity and just even trolling, to be honest, in the games that DFM do at the moment, like they are just miles ahead of almost every single team in this region at the moment, that the questions have to be asked, like, show me what you've got, V3 Esports. Show me what you've got, DFM. Show me what you've got, other teams in the LJL. And let's see if you can beat us, because at this moment in time, we're going to keep playing Poppy Jungle till someone stops us.
Yeah, and what V3 got is certainly not enough to stop Yaharong from just soloing this dragon. Going to pick up the Infernal for Detonation FocusMe, going to make them even deadlier, going to make those accelerated shock blasts from Jace hit even harder. The poke just so scary at this point. And I gotta say that in terms of the emote game, that is another place where DFM has just been on top of V3. They have the question mark frog, they have the smiling TK, and they almost had a couple of kills on the dress code Nadal there, poked out so severely, going to have to run all the way back to Fountain. It's going to be another inhib. That's 2 lanes down, there's 1 to go.
Yeah, and the raw poking power, and they haven't hit 16 for most of the members of DFM at this moment in time. So, I mean, part of the reason that they just don't have the ability to end at this moment is they don't have the ultimates to really do the full power, and they kind of need to find a really awkward angle. DFM also hasn't drafted a siege comp, right? Like, this is not a composition. They're kind of the more reactive 5v5 comp. They had the idea that, oh yeah, they've drafted a Jarvan. They're going to probably go with like this Thresh if we leave it up. We'll leave it for them so they can engage onto us and we can have really strong reactive puts, right? Nah, DFM have just been engaging in everything and Steel's just going at 4.
Yeah, speaking of reactive, V3 maybe overstep, but now it's going to be Yaharong who's hooked, but he gets the root and he just explodes Unica! Oh, Hadel will follow, and then the Realm Warp as well. Yu-Gi-Oh! The last-ditch stand is not enough. The triple kill for Unipon coming on through. Evie breaking the base. Washidai, what can you do? What can you offer?
Oh my god!
He goes
Evie!
golden, but Evie is not perturbed. He does not mind. He does not care. That Hex Drinker giving him a big old shield as the turrets will fall here. The Nexus will soon follow. And in very... Oh, Evie, come on, mate. But in very expected fashion, Detonation FocusMe remaining undefeated, going to 8-0. V3 still yet to find a win here in LJL Spring 22.
Even with that 1k gold given to V3, the amount of a lead that Detonation FocusMe have was unreasonable. And I mean, while Temporal before that match asked us for a eulogy. Well, actually, you asked me as well for a eulogy. I didn't think it'd be like that, man. DFM did them dirty. They just had no mercy.
You know what the plus side was? It wasn't as fast as last time. It was still very fast, but it wasn't as fast as last time. Yeah, it's really crazy. You know, we had been talking about beforehand how the average game time of both of these teams exactly the same. So V3 have been getting swept aside in their winless fashion as easily as DFM has been sweeping everybody aside in their undefeated fashion. And that's going to stay the same because they played, you know, they were already exactly tied in game time and they played each other. So that's going to remain. They're still the fastest teams in the LJL for now. Very different connotation for each of them. But I do believe, I just confirmed for production, we are going to a 2-minute and then we will go back to the desk. So stick around, stay tuned. We will be right back on the other side for hopefully some closer and more exciting LJL. But man, DFM looked good. Be right back.
Welcome back, LJL fans. That's game one done and dusted on this bright Sunday morning if you're over in Europe, or a very early morning if you're over there in North America. V3's swan song could be heard across the Atlantic Ocean, as that was an unfortunate defeat at the hands of DFM. Unfortunate, maybe not in expectations, but in magnitude. Swan, are we going to see DFM drawing poppy bans in the near future if this keeps up?
Well, I do think, like you said, like the namesake card in Magic, that was a V3 Swan song. I do believe they would have liked to have been an artifact enchantment or creature and becoming a 2/2 bird, because they probably would have got more wins with that. You gotta kill this Poppy, guys. You gotta kill it! Because if DFM start playing early game junglers, it's over! What the? He's playing like a tank and he's getting early. Oh my god, that. Oh.
Hopefully, with it being binked up on 12-4, we'll see a bit of Udo. We'll see some more of the traditional counters that can get under Poppy's shield across the LJL. I cross my fingers. Dodge, we're going to go to you. We saw Jace this game. This isn't so much a historic pick for Ebby in the top lane. The LJL tends to stay away from Jace. Do you think this is another adaptation we got to look for from DFM now? How deep does it go?
I mean, Evie has really moved away from what we consider his historic wheelhouse to be this season, right? He's shown no issue moving into the Hullbreaker abuse meta, moving into these melee splitters like the Camille and the Tryndamere that we don't really associate him with. You know, he kind of wrote the book on LJL being a Nara Renekton region, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's touched either of those champions once yet this split. So I think he's just continuing to show that despite his extreme veterancy, there's nothing he can adapt to and pick up in his wheelhouse. And I think they could probably give them a grace period like they have with the Poppy. Nobody's adapted to banning that yet, but I think the league will have to look out for the Jace in the future for sure, depending on the comp. I think Evie has no problem playing it to very good effect.
Very good effect. It is really nice to see he's donated the Renekton a few times over to Yarong. So DFM continuing to write that storybook. As you mentioned, I'm definitely getting Steel Shaco vibes from this Poppy, probably dominating the main season. We're going to go to you, Swan. Is Yu-Gi-Oh struggling for V3? The results not exploded here, but Casio is meant to contain Rise quite handily in the current meta, in my opinion at least. And that wasn't containment.
I don't know if you can contain this rise when you've just got a Poppy causing so many other issues around the map. I would say yes to a point though. It is Yu-Gi-Oh pulling 5 bans arguably from DFM. Like there are definitely, from the line of it, you could look at it and go, objectively though, this should be more of a thing that Yu-Gi-Oh is pulling so much pressure away. But at the same time, yeah, no, Yaharong was just able to realm warp whenever he felt like it. He was just able to play around the map, and DFM just always a step ahead, and it was reactive, which is not what you need to be on in the Cassiopeia Rise matchup, right? Cassiopeia should have prio, never had prio, so yes, but I would also say Unica exacerbated the situation.
Okay. Not so worried. The move from Syndra to Cassiopeia didn't work out for Yu-Gi-Oh today, but if we see it again, hopefully.
He farmed fine, but
He
just not.
farmed fine.
But he should have been further ahead. He should have been like 11, 12 CS per minute, and he wasn't.
We're going to go to where that broke apart. Dodge, the 3-minute transition from the dive in the bot lane, which pulled Yu-Gi-Oh's teleport out.
Reed called it!
Cassiopeia.
Oh,
A prophetic producer, I'm going to say facetiously said, no, not even 8 minutes, 3 minutes disaster, and at 3 minutes on the nose, something was caught out in the river.
Yeah, it was really tragic because it looked like for a second DFM had overstepped their boundaries, and you know the hook had come through from Hadel, and it looked like they were going to get a kill back from themselves. I think when you're at the mental level that V3 is at, when you know you're playing against the best team in the league by a wide margin, you haven't picked up a win for yourself yet. You're going to be skittish, and you're going to be desperate to make plays. And you know we've seen Yu-Gi-Oh be mechanically okay. I think he's a good mid lane player. You know we saw this entirety of V3 be very good in the academy system last year. They went undefeated, and I think he was probably just a little bit desperate to make something happen, a little twitchy. He sees the play and he goes, TP, TP, I got a TP. We're going to make something happen. And it's that sort of calm, cool demeanor from DFM to force that play. and maybe look like for a second they're going to overextend, but pull it back right when they get the advantage and not give anything away meaningful that V3 just couldn't match in the mental or the macro department. It was a good sort of forebearer of things to come throughout the entirety of that game.
That self-awareness and control, what DFM are generally known for in the LJL, that next level of play we look to from our upcoming teams. Talking of our upcoming teams, we have Sengoku on the rise and Rascal Jesters ready for game 2. Haven't heard anything about the status of the next game. We'll be transferring back over to the mainstream in just a minute. So we're going to hit a quick break and we'll be back real soon.